What's up, YouTube? Today we're gonna learn how to balance point wheelie. And I'm an older guy and I'm 35 years old, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to stunt ride. I've ridden motorcycles basically my whole life since I was 17, so whatever that math is, 18 years or so. And I've always been pretty good at riding, but I've never mastered a wheelie. And the last 4 months, I've been practicing my wheelies over and over and over. So this is pretty fresh in my head. So I think I would be a good teacher for someone, because you're not getting the super experienced guy, right, that can just do it second nature. This is all fresh. So I started on a 0304 Ninja 636 because I've been riding for so long. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna hop on a 636 and it's a stunt bike and I'll be able to learn on that. Well, lo and behold, I was doing it for about 2 months, and about right there I looped it. So I decided, you know what, maybe I should humble myself and buy a Grom and actually learn how to not chase wheelies and put myself in a dangerous situation. So that's what I did. And let me tell you what, I did not belong on a big bike trying to learn wheelies. So the most important part of doing wheelies is remembering this right here. This is your savior. And I should have prefaced this in the very beginning, but if you're not ready to loop your bike and cause damage to it, I would not do wheelies on it, because it's just a matter of time until you loop. I mean, you're gonna hit the ground, your bike's gonna hit the ground. This is part of it. So you just have to get that in your head and be ready for that. You need to do repetition after repetition of learning to push this down when you feel like you're in trouble. So let's hop on the bike. What you're gonna wanna learn to do is learn what a clutch up is, and that's pulling the clutch in, giving it some throttle, and dumping the clutch. That's really important. You don't want to rev it to the moon, and you don't want to under rev it, otherwise you're never going to pop it up, right? So when you're learning to clutch up, you want to keep your RPMs pretty low. Obviously I don't have a tack. I looped my bike and it broke off, so I do it by sound now. But so let's start, and remember, rear brake. You feel like you're in trouble, hit the rear brake. So we're going to start in first gear. You're going to want to leave a foot down on the ground, and then when the bike comes up, you're going to want to just kind of hover that wheel just slightly above the ground, keeping your foot down, but slightly hovering your foot, dragging across the ground to keep you balanced. See how it slightly came up? You just want to do that over and over and over, and you want a repetition. Get in their brain, rear brake. So you're gonna bring it up, rear brake. Bring it up, rear brake. Bring it up, rear brake. And then once you get that down, once you get the feeling of, okay, rear brake is gonna save me, then you can start kind of chasing out your wheelie until you start getting more comfortable, and you're gonna wanna continue to chase them on your Grom, not on a big bike, right? Because big bikes can get you in trouble. You're gonna wanna, until you can master hovering it at a certain distance the whole time, you don't come up higher. So just like that. You can be rolling and doing it. I prefer to roll and do my wheelies. So you're rolling, right? I like keeping both feet on. It's all in your preference. So here we go again. You're gonna pull the clutch in, give it some gas, come up and let it float. Right? And then as you progress, the front end's gonna come up higher and higher and higher and higher until you get to a point where you're chasing and you're chasing and you're chasing and you feel like you're at balance point, and then it'll click and you'll finally come back just slightly enough and you'll feel the bike become weightless. And you're probably going to get scared and slam on the rear brake. But just remember, you have a lot of room behind you before you loop. And if you're higher in the RPM on a Grom, the engine brake really helps bringing the bike back. You can really stay floating at balance point for a long time on one of these. So, if you're new and you don't have your rear brake and clutch ups, I would suggest just saving this video and then going outside and practice your clutch ups until you're comfortable and you're able to float that wheel and hold it until you're just about ready at balance point, and then come back to this video. Alright, so say you've been doing it, you're comfy doing your clutch ups, you got the rear brake pretty well, I'm not going to say mastered, but you have it pretty well in your head that the rear brake is going to save you, right? So I roll about, I don't know, 2-3 miles an hour, right? And then you pull the clutch in and you come up, and then you're going to see the bike is just going to float. And when you get to that point where you want to float, your wrist should be pretty steady on the throttle, because if you start blipping it, that's how the bikes get wobbly and you could loop. Alright, so we're going to pop up. Right, here we go. So right there, you feel like you're at balance point, but you hear the RPM chasing. So you're chasing your wheelie right there, but you're almost there. You're almost there. Let's do that again. So up. So RPM, 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 come up. And you lose it. And that's no rear brake. I have not touched the rear brake yet. You run out of RPM and it wants to come back down. To get over that fear, you just have to put in your head that you might loop, at least for me, and as an older guy, you know what I mean? I don't want to hit the ground, but I just come to realize that maybe I am going to hit the ground on the Grom. It's not going to hurt that bad, right? So you're going to clutch up, and you're going to want to try to catch the bike at balance point with your rear brake. So it comes up, you feel like you're too far, and you're just going to tap that rear brake, and you're going to steady your throttle, and then you're just going to maintain that height. And then when you're comfy and you feel like, okay, I'm chasing, you just give it a little bit more throttle and it comes back, and you can let out of the throttle and the bike will stay there, and you can slow it down and you can speed it up and you can slow it down, and you kind of drop back and forth. And when you drop back, that's called the dip. So let's pop up into balance point. So up. So right here, we're dipping. You hear the throttle? Dipping. Rear brake. The engine brake saves you a lot. You can coast on that engine brake when you're at balance point, or just slightly past balance point. So we're gonna go up. So slightly past. You hear that engine, how the engine brake, and we stayed floating for a second. That's kind of what you want to be. That's right at balance point. So let's ride a wheelie at balance point. So we're at balance point right there. You hear that engine, how it's slowing down and it brings us down. I have not touched the rear brake yet. So rear brake right there. So the bike was slowly starting to tip back, and you could tell the engine brake wasn't going to bring it back, so you just slightly tap that rear brake and it brings the bike back for you. So we're going up. So you hear that, we're at balance point, we're just floating. So we're gonna go back a little bit, right there. That was rear brake. So like right here. And that's all engine brake bringing you back. Right there was rear brake. 2.5 months ago, I was out here on this road and I could only pop the wheel up maybe this high. If this video helped you out, like, subscribe, save it. Save it if you don't even know how to do a clutch up, so you can save it from that point on and then come back to the video and reference the rest. Alright guys, have a good day.